Welcome to the second part of the video about the craziest billionaire ever. Enjoy. Masa, a man known for his ambitious vision, had a call with Steve Jobs to discuss an idea he had for a mobile phone that was more like a mini computer. However, Steve informed Masa that Apple was already working on a similar project called the iPhone. This did not deter Masa, who asked for exclusive rights to sell the iPhone in Japan. Steve laughed and told him it was impossible, as Apple had not yet publicly announced their development of the iPhone, and Masa didn't even own a mobile phone carrier in Japan. Nevertheless, Masa was undeterred and bought Vodafone Japan for $20 billion. This gave him the rights to sell the iPhone in Japan, and he was able to sell a huge amount of phone contracts, thanks to his low-cost deals. Masa continued to invest in other tech businesses, including a robotics company that creates robots with the ability to read human emotion. He spoke about his 300-year vision and how SoftBank could be a telepathy company or even talk to dogs in the future. However, he still wanted more and missed out on deals due to money being tied up elsewhere. To avoid this, he came up with an idea for the Vision Fund, a $100 billion venture capital fund, more than 4 times larger than any other fund in history. Masa had a meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, who was eager to invest his country's wealth into big, long-term investments for the future. He wanted Masa's help to find the next big tech giants, and so Masa proposed the Vision Fund. On the flight over to meet the prince, Masa changed the amount they were asking for from $30 billion to $100 billion, saying, "We've got to aim high." In just 45 minutes, Masa secured an initial investment of $45 billion from Saudi Arabia, which would be put into the Vision Fund. SoftBank also put in some money of their own, along with money from Abu Dhabi and even some money from companies like Apple and Foxconn. Masa's goal of raising a staggering $100 billion had been achieved. The purpose of the fund is simple. Masa believes society is approaching the singularity, the point where artificial intelligence transcends human intelligence. Masa hopes to be remembered as a crazy guy who bet on the future, and whatever you may think of him, it's hard to argue with that. Nonetheless, it must be acknowledged that this media production by a wealthy individual would lack authenticity if it failed to acknowledge the darker aspects of the narrative. To begin with, Masa has been accused of creating significant market bubbles and inflating prices, thereby distorting the true value of many companies. He has invested billions of dollars in companies such as WeWork and a dog walking app called Wag, under the guise that they were tech companies, when in reality they were not. Many would argue that Masa's approach to investing billions of dollars based on 15-minute meetings and gut instinct is simply reckless. For example, he put $4 billion into WeWork after a meeting that lasted less than half an hour, without even looking at the pitch deck. Even some of the companies that Masa has invested in have been left frustrated, as his giant investments are often like a kiss of death. He tells his companies to think 10 times bigger than they were planning to and to act crazier. But because he gives them far more money than they actually need, this often causes companies to start spending wildly and pursuing a growth at all costs strategy. If you go into a room and ask for $100 million, and he says, "Well, I was going to give you $500 million, so why do you only need 100? If you don't have a good answer for the 500, you're not getting the money. Masa has also been accused of using capital as a weapon, throwing endless cash at companies with the belief that the best-funded startup can outspend all its competitors in winner-take-all markets. You have so much money that anyone even thinking of competing with you just looks at the size of your checkbook and gets scared and doesn't even try. But this means the companies he invests in don't actually focus on building a sustainable, profitable business, and some of those companies also complain that Masa would shower them with attention at first and then find a new toy and move on. There are even accusations that if companies try to turn down Masa's money, saying they don't need it, he'll threaten to invest in their rivals instead, in order to force companies to accept his investments. In some cases, he invests in rivals anyway, like the fact that he invested many billions into Didi, Uber, Grab, and other ride-sharing apps. It's not just private companies where SoftBank has distorted the price. They were recently found to be the Nasdaq whale behind billions of dollars of call option trades on public tech companies. Basically, Masa has such huge amounts of money that he can literally move markets by pouring billions of dollars into call options. Hearing Masa's underdog story, coming from nothing, one might find oneself rooting for him. However, it does seem that underneath that smiley exterior is a ruthless shark. Perhaps it's because English isn't his native language, but the way he speaks is so simple and casual that he seems like a character rather than a man quite literally having a drastic impact on multiple industries and economies. If someone like Bezos or Zuckerberg were saying the same things, maybe it would sound more sinister. Perhaps there's an argument that Masa's fun, bubbly personality somewhat masks the reality. But personally, I don't think Masa is doing this just for money or power. I believe he's genuinely passionate about technology and just extremely optimistic about the future. He simply wants to accelerate the vision he has. While it's true that a lot of his investments aren't profitable yet, Masa has always said he's playing the long game. While it's entirely possible that his fortune could get wiped out again from a series of bad bets, he continues to invest and pursue his vision with enthusiasm. It is entirely plausible that he could emerge as the wealthiest person on the planet once again, particularly if his vision for artificial intelligence materializes and he invests in the leading companies at the forefront of the AI revolution. Through this, he can facilitate synergy between these companies, encouraging collaboration. Regardless, I believe that we must give Masayoshi some recognition, given that the very essence of entrepreneurship entails taking financial risks. While I am not proposing that we should all gamble our belongings on technology stocks, it is advantageous to consider what Masayoshi would do in certain situations to motivate ourselves to aspire higher. One of the aspects of Masayoshi's life that we must respect is the fact that he devised a 50-year life plan for himself. In his 20s, he founded a company, amassed wealth in his 30s, used that money in his 40s, tied up loose ends in his 50s, and relinquished control to the next generation after he turned 60. So far, he has executed his life plan admirably. The question now is whether he will indeed walk away from it all soon, as his life plan suggests. Masayoshi appears to adore the game, and no gambler ever wants to leave the casino. Truthfully, he has had that gambling instinct since childhood. For example, when his father opened a coffee shop, Masayoshi proposed that he offer free drink vouchers, believing that his father would recoup the losses later since he would have enticed so many new customers. Masayoshi's ambitious, growth-oriented philosophy remains unchanged even after all these years. The difference now is that he has an almost limitless supply of money to actualize his ideas. For instance, Masayoshi is also investing in Neon, a futuristic city that is being constructed entirely using technology. This city will feature flying cars, commercial space travel, robot butlers, and an artificial moon that rises every night. It will even include a genetic modification project aimed at enhancing people's physical strength. Masayoshi has also discussed his theory of time machine management, which posits that the United States is like the future, and every other country will go through the same technological transformation. Thus, if you understand what works in the US, investing in other regions is like traveling back in time in a time machine. There is no denying that there are some lessons to be learned from Masayoshi. However, the truth is that he remains an enigma. Is he one of the most astute investors and entrepreneurs ever, with a visionary perspective on the future that many individuals have yet to comprehend? Or is he a fortuitous gambler who is wreaking havoc on venture capital and manipulating markets? The debate over whether Masayoshi is a genius or insane will continue, but why can't he be both? This is unquestionably an exhilarating life, and I am enjoying every moment of it. If you would like to learn more about the stories behind some of Masayoshi's investments, you can watch these short business films that I have created. Thank you for being a legend and sticking with me until the end. I'll see you next time. Cheers!